Hello out there, all you wonderful people. This is Andre, the Game Idea Guy. Thank you very much for lending me your time and your ear and listening into another video from me. And this one is about a 3DS player for the Wii U. Now, I've actually talked about this before, like, it's probably within the first year of me making my channel. But back then, I wasn't as wise to what the Wii U could do as I am now. And I've had time to think about it. And I think it would be a really good idea, especially if the 3DS player was made for the Wii U with the new 3DS in mind. It would be that much better. First off, the home console is already primed and ready to be able to do what the 3DS can do anyway. It has the gyro which is built into the 3DS. It utilizes two screens with your home screen and then the gamepad screen. It has all of the buttons that the new 3DS has, or I should say the new 3DS has all the buttons that are on the gamepad. They're just in different positions. And it has the dual analog, which can be used for the circle pad and the C nub, as well as it having the touch screen. Only problem I see is that it only has the singular camera for the front camera, but that's not exactly a problem that would prevent you from being able to play games, while it would make certain games a little tricky, like Bravely Default, because you have to utilize the AR card in order to get the game to get started. But there's a workaround for that, so it's not a big deal. Firstly, I think it would have to be a unit that isn't very big in size, obviously. Probably about a quarter of the size of what a 3DS XL is. So that it would have the slot for the game card if you want to use one. An SD slot, maybe a micro SD instead, a micro SD card slot. Obviously enough room for all of the CPU and GPU components and stuff like that. And it would need to connect. I would figure it would connect to two USB ports on the Wii U. That way you have something for it to feed the information to and another portion to draw power from, which should actually work, unless they wanted to just have it plug into one plug into one USB port on the Wii U and then plug into an outlet with a separate cord, which that's also another option that could be done. So I think a physical unit like this would come with a disc that would have the 3DS OS on it that you insert into the Wii U, and it would boot that OS. Now, there are advantages to this, and while some people might think that this would cannibalize the 3DS's market, it would not. One, because the install base on the Wii U isn't large enough to do that, and two, it has never done that before. Looking back at the Super Game Boy or the Game Boy Player, heck, even if you wanted to count the transfer pack for the Nintendo 64, which that didn't work with a whole lot of games, but it did work with quite a few, like Perfect Dark and Pokemon Stadium and stuff like that. Those games, like those things, did not cannibalize the handheld market. If anything, they just served the purpose of giving the handheld games to those people who wanted them on the home console but did not feel like getting the handheld. And there are plenty of people. I mean, it might not be the biggest number of Nintendo purchasing players, but there are people who own Wii U's that do not want a 3DS at all, even though they would like some of the games. And the games that this would definitely be perfect for, one would be Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. Like, there's not a Wii U port, and I doubt anyone would have a problem getting one of these little players and getting Monster Hunter 4, plugging that motherfucker in there and playing it. Or Kid Icarus Uprising is something I had talked about before, which would be great for the Wii U. But, I mean, this would be a nice substitute. Triforce Heroes, another game that would have worked very well on the Wii U, but this would be a good substitute for that. It would also be good for allowing you to play your DS games on the screen. I mean, and it's not like the Wii U isn't already doing that through eShop purchases, but this would be a way for people to not have to rebuy games that they already own. Like, they just simply plug it into there, plays the game, and they're good to go. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to have, like, they don't necessarily have to have a specified Miiverse location for each of these games. They just need the player and to just have a Miiverse for the player itself. So that way, people that are using the player, if they want to make a post about whatever game they're playing, they can do it. So, like, that negates them needing to do one for every individual game. Now, if they wanted to do one for individual games that they put on the eShop to download that are like DS or possibly 3DS games, that's fine. They can do that. But I don't even think that they've done that with WarioWare Touched, which is a DS game that is playable on the 3DS through digital download, especially if for people who are using my Nintendo. I have it, so that's how I know it doesn't. I don't think it has a Miiverse. Like it completely shuts off like a 3DS functionality and just goes into DS mode, like the Wii U does when you load a purchased Wii game, a digitally purchased Wii game. It negates Wii U mode and goes right into Wii mode. So I don't really see a problem with them doing this. Um, and then it would open up room for games like Animal Crossing. I was about to say City Folk. Wrong game. I think Animal Crossing. It's not New Leaf, is it? The Animal Crossing that was on the DS. I'm trying to think of the name of that particular one. I have that one and I have the 3DS one. So I don't know what my problem is. But Animal Crossing, which they did put on the Wii U for the eShop, at least for the North American region. This way you can actually play with other people who have a physical copy of that game and might have it on the 3DS. And you could play locally with those people together on that. Or the Castlevania games that ended up on the 3DS, they do have local co-op. Or Kirby Superstar is another game that has local co-op, but you need 2 copies of the game in order to be able to look away from the screen. But if you didn't, and someone wanted to do download play, they could literally look at your screen because you're using the television at this point as your screen, and you could both play together if they just have a 3DS and use it as a controller, or a DS even and use it as a controller. So like there are applications to it that would be helpful and be useful for people, and that's why I think it would be a good idea. Though I can't say I can't say how well it will work. Because like I said, you would have to have like something to run the 3DS's OS on the Wii U, which would not be a problem. I don't think that would really be a problem because obviously the Wii U is much more capable hardware, so it should be able to do it without a problem. Um, this way the oh man, it was something that I knew I was skipping something. This little unit, this base unit, should have the same memory that's the same internal memory as 3DS. Obviously, I said the SD card, the micro SD, so you can have your space for your saves and stuff. I don't know why I lost my train of thought so hard on that. Dang it, Dre. Be able to play game. It would be able to play DS games with 3DS games online with other 3DSs with the Wii U. It'd just basically be on your television screen, so it would stretch some of these games a little bit. It might not look the best. Obviously, it's not going to look exactly the best. But people who don't want to go out and buy a 3DS for games like Fire Emblem or, as I had mentioned before, Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate or Final Fantasy Explorers, I guess anybody who might want to play Super Mario 3D Land on a bigger screen. I know for me it was a little bit of a pain playing on the 3DS because it's you don't really want to look down at like you don't want to look at that small screen, but it still works with I've beaten it with no problem, but it was a little bit of an annoyance, I guess. Um, I guess for people who might have wanted to play Tamagotchi Life on an actual television screen. I don't know how many people exist out there that might have wanted to do it. I kind of wanted to do it. But, I mean, it would have been nice to have the option. Um, there's just a lot of stuff that came to the 3DS that you could want to play on there. Shoot. Heck, can't say Shovel Knight because Shovel Knight's already on the Wii U. You know what? Let me look at my 3DS and get a better idea of like Bravely Default. I should have said that because Bravely Default I definitely wanted to play on a bigger screen. Dylan's Rolling Western. Gunman Clive is already on the Wii U in HD, and I have that. Exclave. Excave. I think Excave 2 just came out not that long ago. Any of the level 5 games, the 5 games that they had put out on the 3DS. Azure Striker Gumball, I know I would love to play that on the bigger screen. Moon Chronicles, that's another one I would like to play on the bigger screen. And this is just me going through what I have currently on my 3DS. Ironfall, even though it wasn't like the greatest 3DS game, I actually think that would have benefited from being able to be played on a bigger screen. Yeah, New Leaf is the 3DS one. I don't know what the other one was. I can't think of the name, and I have it, and I can't think of its name right now. It's just a lot of stuff. And I'm looking at a bunch of different indie games on my 3DS too, so I don't want to just name all of those because a lot of those did end up on the Wii U. There's one I like in particular, Legend of the Dark Witch, which didn't end up on the Wii U, but I would play that on a bigger screen if I had like if there was a 3DS player or something like that around. Dragon Ball Z Extreme Butoden would be great on a bigger screen. Yokai Watch would be good on a bigger screen. Project Cross Zone would be good on a bigger screen. Codename Steam would be good on a bigger screen. Like you guys know what I'm talking about. Like you've heard enough of me. Legend of Legacy is another one that'd be great on a bigger screen. But you get the point. I've run through enough games to show like these would be good games to be able to be put on the Wii U screen. And if they're not going to necessarily be ported, then an option to be able to play them on the bigger screen by hooking something up to the Wii U, which wouldn't have to be that much money. It could literally be the cost of a game. They could put it out for like $60. Like, and it's not going to hurt the 3DS. It will not hurt the 3DS at all. Because there are a lot of people who do prefer the 3DS for its portability. So I don't think that would really hurt the 3DS. It would actually just help the 3DS in ways that more people aren't aware of. And I've mentioned quite a few of those ways. And like I said before, and this is a small number, so it's probably like maybe 1 to 1.5 million of the Wii U users would possibly actually need this to be able to play 3DS games because they don't want to get a 3DS at all. And I mean, as greedy bastard I am, I would get one because I would like to have it and be able to play some games on my screen, like the aforementioned Bravely Default, because I would definitely play that on the bigger screen if I had the chance to. And Project Cross Zone. There's no way I wouldn't play Project Cross Zone on the bigger screen because the style it wouldn't hurt it. It would still look good. Like I've rambled and rambled and rambled. But that's really it. I think I'm really just done. There's not much more I can say, so I wanted to thank you guys very much for listening. Keep your eyes and ears up for more of my stuff, and until the next time, please enjoy your games. Peace out.